Welcome back to the 30th episode of the Dear Young Men podcast. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about how to find meaning in your life on Dear Young Men. The Dear Young Men podcast is a weekly podcast that posts Thursday at 8 a.m. where I talk to the 20-year-old version of myself and all the young men out there that need guidance. So, I'm sporadic with this podcast. I have my reasons why. None of them good, but I have my reasons. And I have recently some big things have happened in my life. I got a new job and it afforded me this weird new thing. I have been making the tech podcast, as you know, if you've listened to this podcast at all. I've been making this tech channel called Technoid Clips. I've been making videos on that for 7 years now, and I was primarily doing it for the money. And I was making close to $1,000 a month, not quite $1,000 a month, but close to $1,000 a month. Considerable amount of money. And in conjunction with my job, it was like a real nice revenue source, my old job. And then I got a new job where I kind of got like a massive pay increase, almost 50%. So it dwarfed what Technoid Clips made. So my new job pays so much more than what my old job plus Technoid Clips made. And so I'm making all this money now. So I've achieved all of my goals and dreams, and in a way that I didn't expect to achieve them. And then I completely lost all drive to do anything at all. It started off slowly. After work, I would come home a little tired. The first week I started working, I went on a trip and whatever, long week, no big deal. But then the first week it was just normal work, no traveling. I was just in the office and then coming home and I was really tired. I would still make one tech video a week, but it became one, and then I missed a podcast, and then I missed another upload, and then I missed another upload, then I posted one, but I was tired all the time. And then a few more weeks of that went by, and I wasn't only tired, but I started to be like, it's like I wasn't even there with my kids. I was sitting at the table, we were eating dinner together, and it's like I wasn't even there. I might as well have not have been there because I wasn't really talking, I wasn't saying anything. I was just sitting there like a zombie. It's like I wasn't even there. And then a few more weeks went by, and I got to this point where I was dreading the time after the kids went to bed, because what am I going to do? It's 7 o'clock. What am I going to do? For the last year or two of my life, or three, literally the last 7 years of my life, I always knew what I was going to do in my free time. It was always the same thing every single time. It was work on YouTube videos. That's what I was going to do. That's what I planned on doing. I didn't even have to think about it. Whatever video I was working on or needed to work on, I was going to make that. But then I was at a point where I no longer needed to make YouTube videos. And so that's a really weird thing for me, because for the longest time in my life, there's only been one other time when I had a different job that I didn't need the money from YouTube. And it's been really weird. It's been like kind of breaking my brain because, well, why do I make these YouTube videos? So anyways, for a couple weeks there, I would put the kids to bed, or my wife would put the kids to bed at 7 o'clock, 7:30, whatever. I'd help for a few minutes, and then she puts them to bed, they fall asleep, so on and so forth. So at 7:30, it's me, and I have nothing to do. So I'm sitting on the couch for weeks, 2 weeks of this, maybe more, 3 weeks, and I'm just sitting there scrolling on my phone, watching YouTube, watching Instagram Reels, just killing time, just waiting until bedtime so that way I can wake up the next day and go to work. That was my life. And I did that for weeks, and every single day at 7 p.m. I dreaded it. I felt the reason I wasn't there with my family is because I was dreading 7 o'clock because I didn't know what I was going to do. It's sad. It's sad to even say it, because it's like, well, what do you mean? What are you going to do? Just do something you like doing. But the thing I liked doing got taken away from me. I liked working at Technoid Clips. I liked grinding on this thing that was making some money, that was actual money, that actually helped. And then now we didn't need that money anymore because it just got trumped, and it's so little compared to how much more money I make now. I'm not trying to gloat about that. Like, I'm happy that I got this job. That's the thing, is it's a weird complaint. It's like, oh, well, I make too much money now, I'm not happy. It's not that. It's just like, I got this job, I was all excited about it, and I never thought about, oh, well, now I don't really need this thing. And then once I sort of realized I don't really need this thing, then I lost all drive, all fire for life at all. It was sad and pathetic. My wife, we used to go on car rides. We're getting back into it, but we used to go on car rides, and just because I had so much to talk about with YouTube and what I was excited about, what I'm planning on doing, the things I'm looking forward to. Oh my gosh, Carly, I have this idea about this. I want to make this video too. In a few years, we could get maybe this sponsor. If we make a video like this, we could try this and this. I had a million ideas all the time because that's all I thought about was YouTube constantly. And then they got ripped from me because of a good thing. Like, it is good. I took the job because it's good for my family. If I make more money and I don't really spend any more time away from them, I have to go to the office now a couple of days a week, but I still get to be home a couple of days a week. And so it works out to be like, yeah, I wish I was home a little bit more, but it's not bad at all. And I really like my job and I like what I'm doing. And so all these good things happen and I'm sitting here like, man, I'm mad that good things happen to me. So I'm not trying to complain about that. Like, I put myself into this position to get this job and whatnot, but at the same time too, it's been really weird for me because I have been struggling with this idea of what's my life's purpose anymore? How do I find meaning in this life where the meaning was YouTube? It was, I worked my job. I worked from 8:30 to 5. I had a 30-minute lunch, hung out with my kids a little bit during the day, and then at 5 o'clock, I would turn it off. I would hang out with my kids until like 6:30, 7 o'clock, 7:30, whenever they went to sleep, and then I would work on YouTube because I had to do it. So I had this fire about me where you couldn't stop me. Like, I wouldn't hang out with my friends if that meant I couldn't work on YouTube. I put YouTube over everything that it could be put over, not over my kids, not over my wife. I mean, sometimes, yeah, but not every time. I always would choose them almost, unless something had to be done. And it's like at some point I just need to work. And then I got that taken away from me. So that was my biggest motivation. The thing that like made me work so hard and so much and so often and so consistently was Techno Eclipse, because I thought the idea of making money from it was the reason I did it. And then I started thinking a little bit more about it, and it was always just like a means to an end, with the end basically being my wife finally gets to stay at home with my 2 kids and our kids. And so that's like the ultimate motivator. But then I got this new job, and it sounds a little pathetic, but it's not too much money because she can't technically quit yet. But if she were to lose her job tomorrow, she wouldn't have to get a new job, basically. It's just we have a few things we'd like to do that we sort of need her money for just like another couple of years. Anyways, so then YouTube doesn't need any more money. So the retort to that is, okay, well, just do it because you like doing it. You say you like making videos, but do I like doing it? What if I liked doing it because it helped my family? What if I like making videos, not because I just like the act of making videos, but it's because I liked when people saw my videos, and I liked when, in that case, tens of thousands of people saw my videos and heard my ideas and heard my thoughts, saw my editing, my music choice, my color correction, my visual, like why I chose to do everything. Maybe that's the reason I liked doing YouTube. Because if I just liked making videos, I would make videos and just show them to my wife or show them to nobody and then make the next one. So it's obviously not just about making videos, because if it was just about making videos, I wouldn't post them. I wouldn't have to. So obviously there's something more to it. So I've been thinking a lot about it, and I've actually been writing this podcast for a couple of weeks because I've been really struggling. And I watched a video. I for the first time in my life, I searched YouTube for something that I feel like, why am I searching this? And it was, I feel like I accomplished all of my goals, but my life feels meaningless now. I'm laying in bed at like 7:30 at night, just bored out of my mind because I have nothing to do. And I typed that in, and I watched a video, and it was basically, they said, if you feel like you have no meaning in your life, try to help people. Okay, this podcast, I hope this podcast brings people closer to Jesus Christ. And so that's helping people, right? In a way. I mean, your life doesn't necessarily get better because you're a Christian. In some cases it will get harder, but that's better. It is better to believe in him than to not believe in him because, you know what I mean? This idea, I felt guilty. And then I felt guilty about the fact that I wasn't doing anything because I know I'm capable of so much more. And there are people who would kill to be in my position. And that's why, like, I'm not complaining. I just felt like I did everything. Like, what's the point of doing YouTube? What's the point of making these tech videos? What's the point of doing anything anymore? I lost all my motivation, all my drive. So I watched that video, I searched on YouTube, and then it just got me thinking, like, maybe I can help people with this podcast. So let me just start writing this podcast. So I've been writing this podcast for 2 weeks. It normally takes me like a day or two to write a podcast. It's been 2 weeks now for this one. And I didn't even write that much, but I'm getting back into it because I love this podcast. I like what it's doing, and I think it's helping people. And I feel bad when I miss it, and I felt guilty for missing it, and I was just like feeling sorry for myself. It was a lot of feeling sorry for myself. So anyways, there are a lot of people in this world who are dying. so I should quit complaining. And that is 100% true. This isn't a complaint. And I'm very grateful that I was given the abilities that I've been given, the brain, I was born in this country, I was born to these parents, and I've been given a lot of wonderful things. And I feel like life has, like, not that it's been easy for me my whole life, but I've always felt guilty about how good I feel like I've always had it. A lot of that just because I don't look at things negatively or try not to. But also, like, I have been blessed. Like, I've, financially, I've never really struggled in all these things in my life. Like, I've always been good with money. I've always just had money. I wasn't given money from my parents, but I've just, like, I worked a job and I had a lot of money from that. And I was just always good with it. I always invested it. I've always saved it. I was always just fascinated by it, and I was always good with it. So I've been, like, the one thing that you need to be good at in this world, basically, the one tool that's of this world that you need to be good with to live, I've always been, like, naturally just good at it. I've been interested in it, so I've always just been good at it. I've never had a problem with it. And so I've been blessed. Like, I'm not just sitting here saying, like, oh, my life is so good. I've just been lucky, basically. And so so then I feel this overwhelming guilt for feeling like I have all this potential to help people that don't know anything about money, or don't know, or haven't read the Bible, or haven't been able to, or grew up in a family where they weren't allowed to, or whatever. Like, I feel like I have this ability to help people. And I always think about this thing that David Goggins said, and he said, I don't want to die and get to the pearly gates, and then God shows me a whiteboard, and it was, in my case, it's a Scott Schroeder, you brought 1,568 people to me, to Christ, whatever, and you did this, you did this, you did this, you helped this person here, this person there, this person was gonna, like, before they listened to your podcast, they were going to die in like 6 months, but they decided to listen to your podcast, and they ended up having a family and this wonderful life, whatever. And then I go, that's not me. I didn't do any of that stuff. Like, I didn't do anything like that. And and it's like, well, yeah, that was what you were supposed to do. I gave you all these gifts, and you wasted them. You blew it. And it makes me think of this story, not story, but verse in the Bible that Jesus says. And he, at some point, I think it's in Matthew, he cures a blind man, and his disciples say, why was this man born blind? Who sinned in his past bloodline for him to be blind? And Jesus says, nobody sinned. He was born blind so that way God's goodness could be shown. And that has stuck with me, because it's like, this guy's penalized for no reason, just so at some point he could see and Jesus will heal him. But then you think about it a little bit more, and it's like, well, who would appreciate sight more than somebody who didn't have it for their whole life, and then they were given this gift of sight? And so when I lost this motivation, I feel like I realized, like, how lucky I'd been to just always be motivated basically all the time. Like, I always had this motor running all the time, like nonstop. And I felt like I didn't have to do anything to keep it running. I didn't have to fill it up with gas. I just did. I just would work until midnight without even really thinking about it. I just did it. And then this thing got taken away from me. And so now I appreciate the fact that I was like that. And I know that I'm still that person, but I just have to reorient. I've always told my wife, I'm like a cannon, and I can do a lot of great things, but I never aim the right way, or I'm not aimed correctly, or whatever. So I just need to focus on aiming the right way. And so another thing that I've been doing is I've just been listening to the Bible every single day. Every single day I listen to the Bible, because it's like, it's the only thing that I could do that I know is right, basically. I know that if I listen to that, the answers are there. I just need, it'll take me a minute because I'm a little slow, but I'll find them. They're in there. And so obviously the verse from Matthew 11:28-30, come to me, this is Jesus, come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. That is my favorite verse. I've listened to that hundreds of times at this point. It just means a lot to me, and hopefully it might mean something to you. So I have been thinking about, how am I going to fix this? Because I'm sitting here on this podcast, I'm always like telling you how you should do things. And I always try to say, like, well, this is what I've done, and so that's why I think you should do it this way. And I'm in the middle of it right now. I'm finding meaning. It's not, a few months ago, I think I was frustrated at God. We talked about that a while ago. And this is different. I never felt like that. I just felt like not hopeless, but just like meaningless in a way, and having no meaning, especially as a guy, it's like you need something. Like for my wife, her meaning is it's kind of easy. And I always like tease her about it because it's like, well, you have the kids. It's like you find so like she just naturally, it's just, I mean, obviously she tries, but she just gets so much joy out of raising these kids. And I'm like, I get joy out of it, but like, I'm just not the same as you. I have to do like, I feel like I have to do more, and I feel like I can do more. They go to sleep at 7. I stay up till at least 9:30, 10 o'clock. I can do more in those 2 hours every single night. And so what are the steps I'm taking to fix it? The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do things for others. This podcast, I need to do more. I have been thinking a lot about Techno Eclipse and why I was able to do the things I was able to do. And I think a big part of it was a schedule. Is I needed to post 2 videos every single week. So Tuesday and Friday. The first week I started working my new job, I posted a video on Tuesday and didn't post a video on Friday. And then I posted a video on Tuesday and then didn't post a video on the next Friday. And then I didn't post a video on Tuesday and then I posted a video on Friday, and I haven't posted a video since. And I think that that's what happens is you get out of the schedule, you have a reason to not do something, then you just stop doing it. I used to be a little bit more beholden to it because it was a financial thing. And at the end of the day, it was like, it was important. Was it the reason we could pay our bills? No, but it was a nice little thing that was sort of not required, but in a way, almost necessary, not quite necessary, but sort of necessary in a way. So it was easy for me to be like, I have to do this. But now I don't have to do it anymore, so I have to switch it up. So I have to do this podcast to help others because I know I can and I know I should. And if I don't, then I'm wasting, I think I'm wasting what I could do. Am I the smartest, most influential person in the world? No. Am I the best with words? No, certainly not. I don't actually think I'm very good at this at all. But I think a couple people like these podcasts, and I think that should just be enough for me, and it should hopefully help them. I also got a new setup too, which is pretty cool. I like this chair. I think this is a nice little comfy vibe setup. I should have worn a hat though, because I always forget how bald I am sometimes. I'm so used to not having hair that I forgot that how shiny it looks if you're watching. And also I need to shave it a little bit, so I should have worn a hat, so I apologize for that. But I like this new little vibe we got going on. A couple lamps, a light behind us. We got the slats. We got this fireplace. One of these days I'll get this thing working. Probably never, but that would be cool. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do things for others. This podcast is like the biggest one. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set actual goals. I set goals all the time, and I think there's something about them where I set goals at the beginning of this year, and I have done a lot of them. I've worked out more consistently than I ever have. I've worked out 4 or 5 days a week, every single week since the beginning of the year. It's March. It's a part of my life now. It's who I am. I wake up at 6:15 every single day to go work out, and it's just who I am now, and that's been great. But I always set these other goals sometimes that are arbitrary. So I'm trying to set goals that are, it's not like luck-based, where a subscriber count or a view count, that's kind of luck-based. Like I have no idea how many subscribers I can grow. I mean, this stuff is just so random sometimes. Like I have no idea how many people are going to watch this or even why they do. So I think I'm trying to set a goal that's strictly just for me and on me. And so the goal is just to post a podcast once a week. That's it. I'm just trying to get one out, and I'm not going to work behind and be, okay, well, it's 9 p.m. and I need to post this podcast tomorrow. I'm just going to film. It's Monday. I don't know when this is going to post. I think I might post this one early because I'm excited, but I'm just going to go back to doing it once every Thursday, just on a schedule. Boom, 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 because that's what I need to do. Next, I'm going to challenge myself. I need to challenge myself for me and not for anything else. I have struggled doing things for myself for so long because I've always just done it for my family, this. It's so easy to do stuff for them. And now I accomplished my goals. I got to that point. I've reached the pinnacle, basically, not of everything, but I've got to this point where it's like, okay, things are looking really good now. So now what? And I never thought about now what. I always was just like thinking about getting to the mountaintop. It's like in The Dark Knight, where the Joker, he says, I'm like a dog that's trying to catch its tail, or I'm like a dog trying to catch the mailman. I wouldn't know what to do if I caught it. Like I wouldn't know what to do if I caught one. And I think he says that. Yeah, I think he does say that when he's in front of the pile of money. And so it's like, that's how I felt like, is I'm a dog chasing the mailman, and I don't know what to do. I caught it. I don't know what to do now. It's like, okay, I did this thing. I don't even know why I was doing this thing. I mean, I partially know why, but now that I have it, I don't know. This isn't enough. I want something else. And it's not that's not enough. It's just like, okay, I'm good. Like, I'm done now, but I have another 50. I'm 30. I'm 29. 29 still. I have 2 months till I'm 30. But like, I have a long time before I'm going to die, or at least I expect to have a long time before I'm going to die. So I can't just be done now. Like, my whole life couldn't just be focused around making money or having a certain income level. Like, it's not that I really even cared about that much. It's just like the idea of like, this is the baseline that I need to get to. So that way my wife doesn't have to work. Okay, so I have to challenge myself for me. I have to do it for me. So I've been working out really consistently. Like I said, I'm doing that for me. And I started a new channel. So I'm done with the tech channel. I think my wife, we're doing this thing. We're going to test some things out where she's actually going to do basically everything, but I'm just going to film it. So we're going to maybe test that out just as like a fun little side project that's going to take like basically 20 minutes out of my week. Just like my thoughts on a phone that's all it takes me to do is like 20 minutes to an hour to film. So she's going to handle everything else. So we're going to try that. But that's not really for me. I told her I would just do that as like whatever. It's not inconvenient. So it's literally not on my way at all. And it's whatever. I could do it during work, during my lunch at work, or I could do it like when I have 5 minutes, I flip a camera up and say what I think about this phone, flip it down, and then I hand her the video. So it's super easy. But I'm trying to challenge myself for me. So I made a new channel for golf, and I'm trying to get back into things that I love to do, because for so long I've just been doing things that I liked to do okay, but basically only did them for my family. So golf it's always been a passion of mine, I talk about it a lot. And so I'm just going to make a golf channel because it's fun. I don't really plan on ever, whatever, it might grow really big and that'd be really fun and that's cool, like whatever. But I just want to do it because I like golf. I'm going to golf anyways. I can film it and then I'll make a video on it and I'll have something to do basically. And hopefully maybe I can help some people get better at golf. And obviously, ultimately, hopefully bring people to be closer to Christ. That's the only thing that matters in my life anymore. So I'm trying to challenge myself and do things for me. But along that is like, to get people to watch a video, you have to be a certain level of good at it. And I want to get better and I want to challenge myself to get better. So I have a lot of like cool little fun things I want to try. And I'm working on a video now that I'm really excited about. So it's like, I'm just trying to do some more stuff. So the next step, so the first one is do things for others. The second one is set goals. The third one is challenge yourself. The fourth one is hold yourself to a standard and not rely on somebody else. So I used to have to rely on this ethereal, I have to do this because I have to hit this thing. But now that this thing has been hit, I have to hold myself to a new standard. Whereas that other standard was like a lot different because it wasn't for me, it was for my wife to quit. So I have to hold myself to a new standard. I can't rely on somebody else, like a job. A job, you do your job well because you don't want to get fired. That's not going to work for me anymore. Like I can't, obviously I don't want to get fired, so I'm going to do a good job at my job. Like I'm good at my job and I know exactly what I'm doing. But I need to set a standard for myself, a new standard of excellence for myself in other areas of my life that I just haven't been doing because I think I've been a little too selfless and I need to be a little bit more selfish about the things that I'm doing and not be afraid to spend money maybe on myself in certain cases just to make myself a little bit better. And then finally, the last one, is to pray more. And so I do this one a lot less than I should. And it's because I'm arrogant. And I know I'm arrogant. I think very highly of myself to a point where I don't feel like I need God. And it's like maybe I overestimate my intelligence or something, or I estimate my intelligence perfectly accurate, but it's just the fact that I think I'm maybe just, I think I don't need it. I could figure it out myself. And so this feeling like the way that I have been living, it's not really me. Like recently, I feel like I'm a shell of a man and I've been stripped of all the things that matter to me, but not everything. I never gave up on God or Jesus. I never gave up on that. But everything else, not my kids either, and my wife, that's not hard though. It's like the things that outside of the easy things, I gave up on all that. So, of course, I've been listening and reading that verse, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do stuff for others. I'm going to set some goals. I'm going to challenge myself. I'm going to do things that I want to do in those challenges, not that would just make a good YouTube video. I'm going to hold myself to a new standard, and I'm not going to depend on somebody else to hold me to that. And I'm going to pray more. And that's basically the end of the podcast. But I have one little thing. I had this little thought today. So money is a tool. In the hand of a carpenter, a hammer builds homes. In the hands of a murderer, it's a weapon. And I don't know. Just thought that was interesting. That's an interesting thought I had. I will see you guys in the next one, in episode 31. I'm sorry if you heard my kid crying in the background. It's been bugging the absolute crap out of me this entire podcast, and I can't believe I got through this without getting upset because it's so aggravating to hear when I'm trying to think. But I made it through. No thanks to my not my oldest child, but the child, my youngest child right now, but might not always be my youngest child, my second child. I'll see you in the next one. This has been Scott, and have a great week. I'll see you on Thursday. Peace out.